GM.
Welcome to
From A to Z, an Aavegotchi podcast.
How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing good. I got my I wanted to show off my with ETH Denver coming up. I got my Chippy Buffacorn shirt, so
Oh, nice.
yeah, I wanted to show that off a little bit.
Bold print there.
Yeah.
Looks good.
It is like almost like an iron-on. I guess it might be an iron-on, but it's pretty high quality because I've washed this thing a number of times and it's not peeling. So unlike so remember we did you have one. We did the Rest in Pieces Texas Chainsaw Massacre animation shirt with Zentima.
Yeah.
Mine that I wore on the first podcast. Actually, I don't have a printed one yet. I need to order one. But mine was like an iron-on that Gerline had made just so that I could show it off.
Oh, the tester, yeah.
And I washed that one, and that thing looks like it was made in the 70s, dude. Like, it went old like that. It was like, click, old.
Dang.
But yeah, I've washed this thing a number of times, and it's still in good shape. So it's a good patch. It's just a bit of a stiff shirt in that area, you know? But
yeah.
I
can hear it. That's some ASMR shit right there.
Yeah, I like this like placement though. I used to have a Dillinger Escape Plan shirt that had a design right there, and like I love that. Yeah,
it's premium. You know, it's something different. It's something new. It catches people's eyes. I like it a lot. It's a cool.
I also like, you know, since we've been doing the podcast, I wear a lot of like, and especially I got into Web3 and got a bunch of like cool crypto shirts. So for a long time, I wasn't wearing design shirts. I was just wearing like blank color V-necks that I like.
That's mostly what I've got. This is just a colored undershirt.
Yeah, like for years. I mean, I was a band t-shirt person. I mean, I have hundreds of band t-shirts. Like, dude, I have hundreds of t-shirts. Let me just say that I have hundreds of t-shirts, and they're all in really good condition. Given, I mean, I think only reason I say that is because I've seen other people buy the same shirt as me on the same night, and then I'll see their shirt and I'm like, dude, your shirt looks like shit. Like mine,
yeah.
how am I keeping mine in good condition? But
well, you've got hundreds of shirts to rotate with, you know, so they might be wearing theirs once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks, and you're like,
that might be it. Overwearing, overwashing. But like, even still, like, you know, when I first get a shirt I like, I will overwear it. I'll definitely, you know. And I mean, there's shirts that honestly, I would say the podcasting and being on camera a lot is probably more of a cause for me rotating shirts than anything else, because otherwise I will just go for the last thing I wash so I don't have to fold it.
Dude, this show is the only thing keeping me like paying attention to my laundry. Otherwise, it's yesterday's clothes. Oh, welcome. Oh, I love that hat. We can't hear you though.
Fix it, Mike. I know. I just had to show off my GMI swag today. I just feeling like I haven't done enough, so I just wanted to hop on here and be on camera with you guys. Do you have a Modest Mouse shirt? There's no band collection complete without a Modest Mouse shirt.
You know what? I honestly know I do not have a Modest Mouse shirt. Like, I'm not.
You have to send me your birthday.
I don't dislike Modest Mouse, but I'm not a huge fan. Like, I've heard their music, and it's just not. I don't know.
Just quit talking. Yeah, we'll just edit all this part out.
Wow, we just witnessed a friendship break.
I might be a little old. It might be you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like
I'm all right. If you're old, then it makes me feel young, I guess. So yeah, I listen to the cool music still.
It might be a little. That's weird. I feel like there was this gap of music that I kind of missed because I got old for a second and then like grew out of that. Actually, I would call it my Stone Age. There was this gap in my life where I didn't have a computer and like I didn't have, you know, it was pre-smartphones. So like it was this weird gap in my life where no computer, pre-smartphones, and I call it my Stone Age because like I really lost sight of the world for a little while.
Understandably.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And then I got a new MacBook Pro and got on Facebook for the first time. And like, it was like, you know, so I was thinking about this earlier today. I was like, man, why didn't I get into Bitcoin earlier? Like I knew about Bitcoin in like 2010, 2013. Like I knew about it really early on. And I was like, oh, well, you were like just getting back into computers. You hadn't used it. Like I grew up with computers. Like I grew up my stepdad used to build like 386 and 486 Pentiums, and I would just see him like gutting these things. And so I grew up understanding computers and all in. And like the only reason I missed Bitcoin is because I got in this like dark ages period, and it took me that long to even just like, I'm getting into MySpace and Facebook and these other things for the first time. So I didn't get it. And I feel like had I not missed those few years, then I would have fully understood Bitcoin right away and been like, I need this. Like, but at that time, I remember thinking like, how do you even get Bitcoin? And I wasn't even that interested to figure it out. Like, it was probably pre-Mount Gox and things like that.
It's
so it was just like
nerd stuff.
How do I even get this stuff? It's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna pirate movies.
I knew how to get the things I needed. Yeah.
That's also why I knew about it, because, if you're pirating films, then you're seeing it say like, hey, support us with Bitcoin. And it's like, So pirates use Bitcoin.
I found out about Bitcoin. I had a friend that was using Bitcoin back in the good old dark days. And he had no idea how it functioned. He didn't know about the architecture, didn't know about any of that. He just knew that this magic thing, he could just keep sending half of the amount out when he needed to, and wait, and the dollar value of the other half would just restore itself magically. And it's like this amazing money that it's like a liver. Every couple months I can take half of this and send this to anonymous places.
To be early,
and it just
right?
comes right back. Oh, I look back at it, I can't believe how fun that was. But you are reminding me, I had an employer once who like looked me right in the eye and said, damn it, Kale, homeless people under bridges have cell phones. Get a cell phone. And so I think I had a little dark era there as well. And so,
see?
Yeah, it's not just you.
And yeah, like Foreign here is saying that they missed Bitcoin for the same reason. They had no internet, and a country that couldn't get a credit card. So,
that's still a problem and a challenge right now. Like in modern day countries, there are a lot of African countries. We see this in Nigeria and stuff. There's like BitSwappa, and it's essentially like a hey mister for Bitcoin. And it's because they have no like onboarding. They have no on-ramps at all. And so they will like find a way to get it to you in a different format, and then you can hey mister that Bitcoin and feel like you are a vigilante justice warrior.
Hey,
I meant to ask you though.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Mine's silly.
I was just going to mention about to add to that, to expand on that. When FTX went under, FTX Global, it had owned so many other infrastructure pieces in Africa that Africa felt it worse than most. They have no more on-ramps, no more off-ramps. Like it's like you have one choice.
So many of their like on-ramps and off-ramps held their money in FTX.
Yeah.
Like they were basically just subsidiaries.
They held. They definitely got.
I forget which ones, but I listened to the Bankless Africa podcast, and a bunch of people that they had basically had on the podcast in their first like 10 to 15 episodes, all were people who ended up getting rugged by FTX. So it's almost like scary to see how centralized, like you think, oh, this is decentralized. It's moving across Africa. It's banking the unbanked and like bringing money.
Centralized.
And it's like one white boy goes down and that's it.
Scary stuff.
Dude.
Hey, I meant to ask you, when you were showing off your shirt there, is that Perchy stuff? What is that? Where'd you get this?
Yeah, it's a chippy buffacorn that I got from.
Yeah, that's dope.
Oh, this is Metacartel.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Right? Oh no, this is Ultrasound merch. Yeah, this is Ultrasound merch. Bankless DAO has two different merch companies that they work with, and I have merch from both, so I gotta remember which is which.
Yeah, I gotta get me a shirt made like that. Like Perchies, man. Chippies make me happy.
They may still have these on the website. I'm not sure if they are discontinued or not, so you might still be able to get these. But yeah, this is specifically a chippy buffacorn.
Right on.
Because the buffacorn is the ETH Denver mascot.
Oh, I'm so stoked. I just
I didn't know that.
Talking, it occurred to me I had never heard. Me too. I had never heard of a buffacorn in my life.
Oh, what?
And suddenly you get spun up into their lore.
Buffalo unicorn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I am not the authority on these mystical creatures.
I'm gonna show you. Hold on. let's see. The share screen button is behind my camera, of course.
While he's looking that up, do y'all remember there was an organization in Africa? It was an exchange somewhere based in Africa. This will probably trigger someone, you'll remember it, but they had like a glitch in the centralized exchange listing, and it made one of the trading pairs be out of whack by a ratio of 100. So it should have been like a 1-to-1 rate, and it was a 1-to-100 rate. And so the people that lived in that actual country got on the internet and mobilized to let other outsiders know, hey, send me your funds. I'll dump it here on this exchange at this maladjusted rate, and then I'll send you back a good chunk of it, and I get a little bonus, and everyone wins. And so there's like this huge transfer of liquidity to take advantage of this incorrect trading pair. But that centralized exchange ended up clawing all of it back. And
I'm sure they did.
Here. They froze every one of those accounts, and they froze your bank account as well. They got you on both ends. Your centralized exchange is frozen today with us, and we've already called your bank, and they've already seized everything. So just chill out. You're not rich.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder, because I've seen bad pairs like that happen, say, on QuickSwap, and there ain't no clawback. True decentralization does have
not without rolling back the chain, hard fork.
Yeah. Energy. Have y'all seen Energy Web? Have you guys ever looked at the Energy blockchain? They're a unique one. I interviewed with them way back in the day, early community mod stuff. Like, righteous on them, they're more like a company than a blockchain. They have like departments, staff, tenure, seniority, and all this ridiculousness. But they also have two things that I thought were shocking. One was called the EBI. It's like the FBI, right? It's the Energy Bureau of Investigation. And it's essentially customer support for bad things. You can let them know if something bad happened to you. And a lot like optimistic rollups, there's a 7-day settlement on every single transaction. And so as long as you can contact the EBI soon, they can go and look and be like, yeah, you got rugged. This guy freaking took you. Let's unwind it. And they can undo it on the back end. And I remember thinking that could be very appealing to a lot of individuals when they hear that, and that also has some inherent failures to a lot of us. And
the banks want you to want that feature.
Right.
The balance of the trade-off, right? Don't worry about your security. We'll take care of you. It's okay. We've got you.
Right. Well, I know they are trying to work on permissionless ways for that to be done as well. They're looking, and that's kind of what soulbound tokens are about. They're an experiment with that to be like, if this is, I don't know. I don't remember exactly how. I read a whole thing with Vitalik, not the initial thing he wrote, but another thing he wrote about soulbound tokens afterwards. But basically, there are some type of SBTs that can be transferred. They're not like, or there's a soulbound quality that it's basically got a callback, kind of like the pawn ticket, where you like when you have a pawn ticket, the PWN ticket, you can't do certain things with that Aavegotchi, even though you may have access to it. Or if it's in the vault, you can't remove it from the vault because that ticket puts this kind of lock on it that says, well, there's certain things you can't do because that would prevent me from being able to take it if I need to.
I think 721A is doing some weird stuff like that too. Not specifically that. It might be specifically that, but we're watching new token standards be built. We're watching new things happen that are different. They're new, and they solve some of the older problems. I've seen like soulbound, but +1 transfer, one consumable transfer, one authority transfer is what it's called. And then no more transfers after that. So it could be like from the minter to authorized party, and then that authorized party has one more transfer to an end holder, and then that's it, it's frozen. And so they're getting really creative with soulboundish, they're just like, teach us about Bufficorns.
Well, it's just the mascot of ETH Denver, and these are mintable. There's 10,000 of them. There you go. So
they're definitely on Polygon, right?
No, these are Ethereum NFTs, buddy. Yep. So these are just a handful, but I guess this is like a GIF rolling through all the traits. So there you go.
When is it from? How old are these?
These are, well, let's see. We're on the Medium article is from November of 21.
Wow. I know people have died since then.
But they had Bufficorns for sale last year before. Was that? Oh, maybe this. I guess that's right. I guess I was trying to go to 22. Yeah, I didn't go last year. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's when these minted was in November of 21. So they're probably all
November 21 in anticipation for ETH 22.
Yes.
So these are kind of relatively a new collection as of last year then.
Yep.
Oh, right on.
0.1 meant, but yeah, they're probably all on the secondary at this point, I would imagine.
Well, those have been nice to snag about maybe a month or two ago.
Yep. So yeah, there you go. Those are the Bufficorns.
Little tidbit there too. I can't think of his last name right now. Maybe you know. John is his first name. He's the founder of ETH Denver, one of the founders of ETH Denver, John Blank. But he's also one of the founders at Opolis. That's how I and he overlapped. I was at an Opolis space here a while back, and he was there doing his thing. And then at the last second, oh, by the way, ETH Denver, the whole shill. It inspired me on my path of exploration. But because he was a great person to listen to. He convinced me to come to ETH Denver this year. Like, he's the reason I'm going. Is listening to him and his perspective, having facilitated it for the last 7 years or 6. His enthusiasm for
John
this
Pollard.
John Pollard. And his enthusiasm right now for this year's ETH Denver convinced me that this isn't just, we're excited, here it comes, let's just do another one. No, guys, different venue, different approach, huge community.
This is also
really
like
year.
bear market ETH Denver, and this is like real.
Nobody's
this
there.
Isn't bull market ETH Denver. This
Exactly.
Isn't like, oh, we're going to our first crypto party. This is like builders, you know.
If it's in the middle of the bear with the builders crowd, and we get 50K plus individual human beings, and I've started today assembling my Rolodex and putting jots down of who I'm going to meet in ETH Denver, and when is their event, and getting the Eventbrite signed up and whatnot. And I'm already kind of like I'm getting so inspired. I'm talking to people that are coming from Paris. I'm talking to people that are coming from Australia. I'm talking to people that are coming from Japan. I'm talking to people who are even more excited about this opportunity than I am. I'm lucky I get to drive 10 hours and I'm there. It's kind of backyard. I can handle it. But there are people who have probably, in very different financial circumstances, who are extremely committed to making this happen. And that's very encouraging. In the middle of a bear market, I'm finding lots of enthusiasm around me right now.
Nice.
Oh yeah. I feel you.
Well, last week was depressing. Last week, it wasn't even crypto specifically, it's just in general. I was just in a dark cloud kind of a moment, and it was just not happening. It just wasn't clicking. And I'll tell you guys a story, actually, because I thought this was good. I told my wife earlier too. So Sunday, I blew off the GMI call, I blew off the Aavegotchi community call, and I blew off the DAO call. I missed the whole suite, right? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I missed the whole run, and that's rough. That's a lot of opportunities for engagement. That's a big vacuum, and typically we don't do that stuff, especially if you're trying to lead and be involved, and that's not great to miss the whole swatch. Coming back in Monday is one of my shitty Mondays where it's like, well, it's not going to be fun because I'm going to have to like unbury myself. I'm probably going to have a mess of DMs. I'm probably going to have all this stuff that I need to catch up with and readdress and deal with. And I didn't have anything to deal with because Hefe took care of all of it. And I was just so inspired. It just melted my heart. He and I had a 2-hour call last night, and it was just so encouraging to know that you have partners, you have teammates, you two knuckleheads just continue to show up, the consistency and the delivery. Those are the things that make me excited about not just ETH Denver, and not even just about Aavegotchi. It's about the ability for people that get along to like form teams and accomplish missions.
Exactly.
We can back all the way out, and it's really just like a shill for teamwork. and good teamwork matters.
If you look at a lot of, the builders, the people that we look up to now in the crypto space, they all had a first project. They all had something else. They all worked for someone else. They all did something else before they got where they are now. So where you start building and where you start doing things isn't necessarily where you're going to make your biggest contributions or your biggest mark. It might just be where you cut your teeth. You know what I mean? In a lot of ways.
Go ahead, Tommy.
I was just going to say, in a lot of ways, you could even say that about me with like Bankless DAO and Aavegotchi. Like, I got started in Bankless DAO and I tried to branch out to a lot of different places, But I really fit in with Aavegotchi because I was able to lean into my strengths more than I am in other environments. Like,
you're one of my favorite friends. Like I remember seeing you in the Polygon ecosystem down
so
in the early
true,
days.
man. I
And
know
just
it
being
was
like,
great.
oh man,
Like,
these fucking people are like involved, man. They're like contributing, they're doing things, they're doing work, they're getting compensated, they're like
it's true.
hustling
I
this
was
thing.
excited to start working with you at GMI. It was like, oh man, I see this dude everywhere. He's at Polygon, he's at Bankless, good ghosting. Like, we're running into each other all over the place. This is meant to be, you know.
Well, and that's I was telling my wife earlier. That's why I'm still overly optimistic about the whole circumstance. Is because when you and I showed up on Polygon, a person could contain it all. A person could be aware of everything that was going on in the space. You could know all the founders. You could know the projects. You were aware of new liquidity on QuickSwap because you heard it from Rock Zarias on Twitter. It was so small. We all knew each other, and it was just different. It was just different. But the positive to that is that like today, I can't do that anymore. I cannot hold on to all of Polygon. It's too big for me. I can't.
Right.
I don't know who's here. There has been such a like here lately.
I can barely hold on to just Lens. Lens is exploding in and of itself. So like, yeah, Polygon has gone crazy. Like,
well, and I've noticed a gigantic increase in the presence of Solana origin projects and of Terra origin projects and of a lot of projects that started in other places and they're here now. Something just on a sidebar that I've, this is my maxi shining through. Is I've seen people on spaces with like Magic Eden, and they're talking about their awesome project, and they're importing these Neopets. Neopets is on QuickSwap right now. QuickSwap has developed quite a bit on their front end, and they've done a lot, and I'm happy with them. But they have like a gaming hub now on QuickSwap, where they highlight all the GameFi that's happening out there. We're not on the front page at the top of that with Aavegotchi, so obviously they don't know what they're talking about. So they're just they're just working with who they know and who they found. And I wanted to be impressed. I looked through their free to play category. I looked for their upcoming test flights. And I look at something like Neopets, and Polygon Studios or Polygon Labs today is behind pushing for Neopets. QuickSwap is with Neopets. QuickSwap, Neopets, and like 5 other protocols have created something that they're calling Polygon Palooza. And have you heard of this?
No.
This has been happening for the last 8 days. It wraps up in 3 days. Yeah, and it's like, how the hell can this be Polygon Palooza if we're not there? and so there's this like strange thing that's happening where I think what I'm recognizing is like the second generation of Polygon users, and I'm not of them. I went to high school.
No,
just
you're
like
right.
They did. We're in a different class.
So true, because so often I run into people, especially getting into Web3 music, and this crossover with the Web3 musicians I'm meeting through Lens, and so many of those people are like, oh yeah, I just came in last year, and I'm like, wait, and they're like, oh yeah, I don't know, like basically the only thing they're doing on Polygon is Lens. So I don't even know if they fully understand what
That's
Polygon
bullish.
is. Because like I was talking with Drew from the Cryptoon Goons, and I was trying to explain to him that like you can bridge an NFT from Polygon back to Ethereum if you wanted to do that. And he was like, I don't know what you mean. I don't understand what you're saying. And like, we kind of like, Lost Local was in this conversation too, and we kind of broke it down. Well, like Polygon is EVM, Ethereum virtual machine. So basically you could bridge NFTs from any EVM to another EVM. There's a way to do it, but you couldn't bridge an NFT, say from like Solana or Cardano across to Ethereum because they're not, or at least maybe you can now, but I don't know. Like,
well, and that's very bullish too, because it's exactly what you're talking about. So my brother was very interested in Cosmos back in the day, and a lot of people are, and rightfully so.
I'm on Cosmos.
I've got some.
It's a good product, good platform. It's reasonably built. It has
I use Osmosis.
Leadership. I like their ethics, but I tell you what, without Evmos, they don't have anything. Like the most important development of the Cosmos ecosystem is the bridge protocol,
the Ethereum
tap into
bridge.
the Ethereum ecosystem. Absolutely.
I have noticed that. Like I got on Osmosis in like March of 21. So that's like when it first launched. Like, so I got on Osmosis in March of 21, and that was their
Are you
first
staked?
AMM. I am staked.
They got hella interest rates over there right now. I've been seeing like 20%, 22%.
Bro, when I got on, it was
Scary.
like 900%
hundreds.
APR, dude. It was fucking crazy.
Huh.
Dude, crazy. And at the
Okay.
time, yeah, like I want to say like
I miss all
over
these
that
things.
bull market, like in those couple of months, I want to say that like Osmo token went up to like $10 or $11. Like right now, it might only be at $1 or something like that. But,
well, the narrative changed over there that Osmosis was actually the token to hold. Dump your atom, get Osmo. That was it. Like now we've got something useful, and it was this discussion that was always interesting on Cosmos, which is like, what is atom for, right? Like this base layer doesn't have utilization built into it, so everyone's just going to live on top of it, and they'll have their own top floating economies, which is kind of still what we're seeing. And I think didn't they even have like a proposal, not to go too much into the Cosmos situation here, but like they had a proposal to like force like validation requests through the Cosmos Atom staking pool. So like, because basically all these other little things like Osmos and Secret,
wouldn't
and
that be
Region,
a little
all
anti-Cosmos? Like that's a little
well, they got voted down
to their statement.
Yeah. Well, they ended up in a position of being like, wait, full decentralization means
that just
you don't
makes
need
them ethereal.
But how? Yeah, exactly. And so they wanted to grab a little bit of that because it looked useful. That's where their fee path is coming. And they community voted it down because they're purists, and Cosmos is what I feel like I encounter a lot over there, is true believers. But that doesn't offer a lot of revenue or fee structure for
Funny
those
part
that
is
provide.
I don't know any Cosmos users. Like I don't know any
either.
Cosmos people at all. Like
you don't have
none.
Cosmos community?
I only know the one person that told me I should get on there. And we don't even know each other from crypto. Like she works on films. I met her at a film festival and we're friends on Instagram. And when she saw I got into crypto, she was like, you might want to check out these tokens. And I actually already held Atom at the time, but then like she told me about Osmo, Akash, and I don't know, something else.
Probably Dot.
No, I don't remember what it was.
part of that first
Sentinel.
Ah, Sentinel's cool. Yeah, DVPN. Good Cosmos
yep,
products.
DVPN. That's it. Yep. So
yeah,
I got into
those over there for a long time. Like Cosmos is very great at looking at.
But
like,
now they have USDC
ideas.
and ETH, and so I could really.
Okay, you just brought up a great point. What do you guys know about this USDC USDT flippening? Have y'all heard about this at all?
No.
So Coinbase recently turned off fees. Maybe it was Binance, but I'm most positive it was Coinbase. Those are obviously two very different stories, but I think it was Coinbase. Somebody just turned off fees for swapping USDC to USDT, and they saw a gigantic increase in that swap. And it seemed like a large exit of USDC in lieu of USDT. And there's this
because USDT is less centralized, and if you don't believe the FUD,
I can't believe that that's the conversation that we're having. Like I've been here long enough that USDT is the hero. What kind of world are we living in?
I have never been on the USDT FUD. Like since I came into the space, everybody's been FUDing USDT, and I've never I'm like it seems like
it's America's like trying to
it's the same thing as Bitcoin
economy.
Like as much as you could call me like an ETH maxi or whatever, like I love ETH, but like I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere. Like I think that honestly, I don't want it to, because my honest belief is that Bitcoin is the religious part of this whole thing. It is the faith. And if Bitcoin fails, everything goes with it, because nobody is going to think, okay, so look, if Bitcoin fails after
Ethereum
15 years, 20 years, then people are going to be like, well, Ethereum's going to fail after 20 years. That will be the narrative.
If Bitcoin fails, stables will fail. Stables failing will cause ETH to fail.
So, but I just mean, you're absolutely right. Like economically speaking, it can't fail or we're screwed. But not, like in the mythology of this whole thing, if you want to build up the story, literally you can't kill Bitcoin, not this early in the narrative, because it will doom everything else.
So the story that I used to tell, and this is interesting. This is a really interesting line here. I'm curious y'all's thoughts here. So I used to teach people about crypto a year ago when they were asking me about it. That in real life you never heard of it. And the narrative that I always gave was a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Polygon narrative. And what I always gave them was that Bitcoin was like the discovery of gold in the mountains. It was the discovery of the raw ore, and there was value in the ore. We liked this yellow rock, and we said, shit, this is probably useful. Ethereum was when we figured out how to use it. We started flattening it out. We started paving roads.
Industry.
Or something like that. We created utility for the gold resource that we had found. And then Polygon was like deploying a car onto this now paved road. So that way you can really utilize this infrastructure into a meaningful way. Something that I was just telling my wife about this earlier tonight. I am a believer in the flippening. I am a believer in ETH, and I am a believer in that as the long-term future. Two quick stories that I'll get through as fast as I can is my PS3, which I think I acquired in like 2008, had a very unique app that you could download on it called Folding at Home. Are you guys familiar with this?
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
I stacked $1,500 worth of Ripple and got rugged on that. So yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah. Well, Folding, was pre-crypto even. And so what this idea was, and it's woken me up. Even here lately in 2023, I look back and I'm like, oh my God, this is like the value of botnets. This is what hackers have known.
It's a voluntary botnet.
Years. Yeah. It is a decentralized computing network. Mm-hmm. And that has so much opportunity in it. And so, my PlayStation had this synergy with Stanford University where you could download this Folding at Home app, and it was running through protein building simulations. And it did it across anybody that had PS3. If you want to put it in rest mode instead of turning it off, we'll use that processor to help compute. And I remember at that early stage in 2008, I was like, oh my God, this is genius. I can imagine all the PlayStations out there, if they all focus on the same problem, that's Focus Fire. They're going to crush it.
You've got a supercomputer now for the cost of zero.
You've got a supercomputer distributed across the whole. It's already out there. It's in the homes of these people. They bought this commercial retail product, and now we can harness its energy. And now looking back in 2023, looking back at that moment, I'm like, my God, it was like recognition of the power of decentralization really early on, but then not following through with Bitcoin and not following through with ETH ICO, not following through with the thing that I saw that inspired me so much. And so that, oops, that's on me. But then, so that's my first touch.
But that's what you don't do right now. We're in that part of the bear market where you are so far from any shore that it's easy to drown and just I'm out. Fuck this. Like,
I've already, I'm going down with the ship. And so we're either going to make the journey or I'm going to fail as a crypto failure. And I believe in this. I truly feel like this is indeed the next evolution of our technological evolving. And so I'm either going to be wrong.
100%. I had, I know you had another story to tell, but real quick, last night on Twitter Spaces for the Lens thing, I have a really long thesis on marketing and stealing mind share and the future of content and how it's going to need to change in order to grow into Web3 and how Web3 actually needs to embrace that or it's not going to happen. Web3 needs to bring creators, meaning pay creators to come here that are not like the big names. You need to build your own gods or this isn't going to work.
That's well said. I'm having to work through my feelings with the Lens content creators cohorts, because they're on the third cohort right now, on board, I think 36 individuals. And I'm like, I didn't even know of the first cohort. I don't know the first cohort. I don't know the second or the third.
I was in the first.
There you go. And so that's that. I'm that out of touch, And so for me, I'm trying to remind myself that you can't get scared when the thing that you support starts blowing up.
Right.
You have to not be worried about becoming irrelevant. If it all works out, it's still a win for me too. Will I be the most important person on Lens? Probably not. But that means that Lens worked out. And so that's probably okay. And so it's just dealing with that, It's fun to be the king of a little molehill. But the whole idea here is that we're watching tectonic shifts.
Right.
It's just an honor to be a part of it in general. So the second part of that story then is the ETH flippening here. So I had a bag from 2017, pre-Bitcoin days or pre-Bitcoin bull run of 2017. Bought some Bitcoin, then grabbed some ETH because it seemed that like the smart people in the space were aware of it, and so it wasn't the better performing asset at that time. It didn't look more promising, but it was talked about a lot. And so I had a Bitcoin and an ETH bag. When I sold that bag, that was January of 2021. Okay, and this is numbers specific stuff here. So in January of 2021, I sold my bag. So I liquidated my Bitcoin and my ETH. Bitcoin, I remember as clear as day, Bitcoin was $42,000 that day, and my Ethereum sold at $300. And today, Bitcoin would sell at $23,000, and my ETH sells at $1,660. And so, to hell with bear or bull, at least next to each other, ETH has 5 or 6x'd in that same exact timeline, and Bitcoin is chopped in half. And so the only other thing I've seen with that is that I felt very strongly that the creation of the Ethereum network provided utility to the Bitcoin asset, created utilization for it.
Right.
That's why we wrapped it. It's why we imported it. We wanted
exactly. Bitcoin doesn't need to stop being Bitcoin for Ethereum for them to work together. It's the communities that make it toxic. You know what I mean?
It's still the gold. It's still those little bags of gold from the mountain. And so it's still a tradable asset, but it's tradable within the Ethereum ecosystem because we've created genuine industries here. Right. And so I have felt in my heart that if Bitcoin disappeared tomorrow, Ethereum will go on. If Polygon disappears tomorrow, Ethereum will go on. If Ethereum disappears tomorrow, Bitcoin and Polygon are both screwed. And so it's still where my heart lies. With this. Yep. I don't. It's a hypothesis. You know, it's my bet on the long call. But
you ETH Maxi.
It's what I feel. I know. Go figure.
I'm with you, man. No shame.
Well, and that's
no.
why
I'm a decentralization Maxi, though. Honestly, that's really, you know, because even on Ethereum. Said this
last night with you guys is between you, me, Zombie, Z-Fi, all these guys. The collective creative power that we have at our call that is indeed decentrally stored is impressive. Like many other industries don't have the opportunity to do this. You can't decentralize your firefighters. You can't decentralize your police. You can't decentralize your hospitals. Media is one of these few industries that can indeed be broken up. There's nothing more about you being in the house here with me that makes us more productive. There's no truth to that. And so we have the ability to pull this off. Like we're on the front edge of decentralized industries.
I think of GMI, and I don't know if I've talked to you and Hefe about this as much, but I think of GMI as a meta label. Like I think that we are, you know, we're not a network because a network would own everything that's born under it. We're more of a meta label where it's like, hey, if you want to come build with GMI, you can come build with GMI. You can be as in or as not in as you want. Like it's kind of, you know, like very, you know, because we have a lot of like allies like Gotchi Farmy who are doing their own thing, but they don't mind tapping us on the shoulder when they need help or they want some assistance with something or a little amplification. And but at the same time, then we've got people like John Gotchi and Billy Bishop who like are like, hey, help me with this thing. And they're like really tapping into us. And like, and then you've got us who are really like, you know, we don't mind slapping GMI on everything we do and just like, GMI did it.
Ringing it out for everything it's worth. So I got two-pronged question there because just from our earlier conversation, Z-Fi, what was your first crypto interaction? Like, how did you break into it? And then two, what do you see GMI as?
Two very different questions. Okay.
Give me quick, fast, easy answers.
Same question. What are you talking about?
So I've been in since 2013. I started when I saw Bitcoin. When I learned what Bitcoin was, I said, this is the only thing that matters for the future, and started mining. But I was mining shitcoins to trade for Bitcoin because I wasn't going to buy just a Bitcoin miner. You know, I had the computer equipment. Great. I had old stuff. Like I got a couple extra graphics cards, built a miner, and I was buying.
You turned electricity back into money.
Well.
Oh.
So I spent a lot of money on the mining equipment, and then I mined a bunch of coins and traded them all to 0 and ended up with nothing.
Well, at least you got that part out of the way, early.
Yep. So then I started off with the folding at home, and I was
Story's
getting
not
Ripple
over
rewards.
yet.
I was getting Ripple rewards for that folding at home thing with the idle time or whatever. And I had stacked up quite a few of those. I bought in at 0.0008 cents. And when I got rugged, it was like $1,500 worth of Ripple that just, well, we're a centralized wallet that we just don't want to do it anymore, so we've turned off.
Yeah.
You had a year, I guess. We just didn't tell you. I don't know. It's gone
the boards
now.
are done, but we've also revoked the back ones too. It's all done, huh?
Yeah. So
okay, so you started off
little old
decentralization. That's my.
But I never lost faith in Bitcoin though. It was whatever scraps I've got, you hold them and you write it back up, and you learn something new every cycle. I have nothing to show for it. Like, for having been in Bitcoin since 2013, I should be set. I am broke as a joke, and all I've done is made mistakes the whole time. So the only thing I can hope for is like more cycles, because I've learned a bunch I've learned a bunch with all these mistakes every single time, and it's like, well, the next one will be better, right? The next one, I'll take profits on the next one. I won't. I'm gonna get screwed again. But whatever.
Well, I will try to remind you in that moment too, because I'm also waiting for that moment. I'm in that same exact boat there. Now, the one thing I will say is the cycles don't stop. I can promise that. There's nothing about our existence on this plane that guarantees the cycles stop all of a sudden. This is a cyclical machine, and I can already feel it. Being in the Polygon space earlier, I was on there with SX Network and API DAO, listening to them talking about because all this is still real, right? And I think people forget about this. And I was in a Telegram chat the other day that had an update from Sandeep, and he was talking about migrating from a Telegram group to a Discord group for some Polygon builders. And I'm still trying to break that door down and get myself in there, sneak it in, act like a builder. But regardless, something that he said in that sentence, this is actual alpha. I've actually got something to offer here. Is in Sandeep's Telegram message to us is like, hey, remember, like, people are still building on Polygon. We're seeing a lot of projects migrate. We're seeing a lot of deployment, and we haven't even begun ZK Summer yet. And it's like a reminder. I'm like, oh yeah, y'all are still working on this, aren't you? Like, there are a lot of people right now. There's a lot of chatter about Polygon's layer 2, which is extremely meta, and it is a big change for what we're used to, because we haven't had a product upgrade since the POS deployed in February of 21.
Right.
And so we might hit February of 2023, 2 years later, till we see our first significant product upgrade on Polygon. And it's just a reminder for me that whilst we all know that time moves so fast when you're inside of the bubble, things take time. 2 years is not that long of a timeline when you consider a super technical product development that's only the fastest blockchain technology on the face of the earth. 2 years is pretty good on that turnaround. And so it's a reminder to me too, though, that it's not over. Like, we're not done. It's not like this is it and the state of things is what they are. Ethereum used to be proof of work.
Yeah, the market, the space isn't going to end, but there will be projects that end down here. That's what bear markets do to projects.
Burns the whole bottom of the forest out, and it's the most glorious thing I've ever seen. Walking through that charred forest with all that nice charcoal going back down in the soil. Oh, we're going to be so fertile.
It's not just crypto, though. That's the reason we've created crypto, is because the trad market won't do that. They're letting zombie corporations walk around with no money, with no profit in sight, and they're just subsidizing it and letting it go on. And our entire economy is crashing because of that, like, fake game. So, like, I hate to say it, but watching projects end at the bottom, that's a natural market. Like, when you can't keep
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll never forget freaking Substratum. Screw you, Substratum. 2017. That was the project that I believed in the most. It was going to be like decentralized Wikipedia. It was going to be like this internet layer that anybody could contribute to. It's like centralized blockchain-based Wikipedia, and contributors could get upvoted for their content, and then that's how the token rewards would flow, and this and that and the other. Nope, they closed the doors. They liquidated everything. They sold before I did. It didn't work. It happens. Hypercube, they got me pretty good. Polydoge is still around. What was it? Polypugs. Screw you, Polypugs.
I have some Polydoge tokens.
Polydoge, all right. They're still sticking around. They're lightweight, but they're still here. And indeed, there are projects that just aren't. They aren't.
Right.
And I'm watching. This is what we talked earlier about the second generation of Polygon users onboarding. Like, there's a part of my heart that's just like, oh, you precious thing. Like, you've got such challenges ahead of you. You haven't been rugged yet. You haven't been lied to yet. You haven't got. You haven't made the wrong call. It's gonna hurt, man. I hope you're ready. Like, welcome to the fight and get ready.
Speaking of which, I might be getting unrugged. The Voyager stuff seems to be working out.
Same with BlockFi. I just saw their updates as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I haven't read the BlockFi one yet. I got rugged on them too. Celsius, Voyager, and BlockFi. But yeah.
They, at least for the BlockFi email I just read, I wasn't there, but I guess I registered there once upon a time, but never moved. But they are working with their credit debt settler bankruptcy. Chapter 11 is moving forward. They indeed have the asset.
No, that's all the preliminary emails or whatever. But
now, I will say this last email did say, well, at least on them, one thing that was neat is that they did say that they have indeed secured a deal with the SEC that they won't have to release any customer information, that those do not have to be released in association with bankruptcy filings. Yeah, your name will not be on the filings for BlockFi's.
I think it is for the rest of them, though. But anyway, the Voyager thing, the email was saying that, like, basically they're going to do a deal with Binance and you'll be able to withdraw your funds through them. Like, you have to open a Binance.us account, though. I'm still looking into this whole thing. It was an email and I didn't click
get your funds and get off of that platform.
But I'm going to go through the app to, like, figure this all out. But yeah, like, I think it was Monday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. So yeah, yesterday, all the emails came through. So all the decisions must have been made last week. And then the emails go out on Monday.
Doesn't it? It always hits in waves, man.
Yep.
I cannot stress strongly enough how much I encourage you not to store anything on Binance.us. The least you can interact with it, the better. Every time you have to do anything, it's going to cost you like $15.
Bro, if I get any of that ever have to talk to customer service, I'm literally moving it. Like, I'm literally moving or selling it.
Binance US is not the place.
Well, I mean, I don't have a choice.
If you have to get it there, but let them get it off of there. Is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I need to get
the worst
fuck
platform
rid of it.
I've ever used.
Yeah.
Well, I heard I forget who said it. It was I think it was one of the Gitcoin guys, maybe a refi guy, but just a wonderfully crafted language tweet, right? They were talking about centralized exchanges very closely post FTX, and it was a reminder that centralized exchanges are a lot like public bathrooms. You get in there.
Aavegotchi said that.
And then you leave. Exactly. There you go.
Dude. That's the people I'm bullish on. You know, right here at the bear market, we've got a lot of people that are worried about token prices and worried about, like, you know, basically just worried about only the economic part of it, which you can't worry about in a bear market because there's no way to stop a bear. Like, the only way to stop a bear is to make it bullish. Like, this is astrology, dude. It's literally like it goes two directions. You either feel good or you don't. And like, until you start feeling good, there won't be a bull market. So all of this, like, trying to reduce token deflation and all these things is a futile thing. Just get in a good mood and start building something and the market changes. And so, like, people like Aavegotchi and Vitalik and people who are about the region and that movement, like, that is what I'm bullish about, because that's what's going to create decentralization and bigger, like, moves towards the things that actually set us free and make this thing different than the last economic system. Because otherwise, we're just going to end up with, you know, like, if all we're doing here is building financial products, those financial products will be captured by financial minded people who all they focus on is token price. And that will be all of the values of why crypto was created in the first place thrown in the toilet.
That's why I like you, man. You're here for the right reasons, at least. You know, it's a faith in a technology structure more than like a brand or an ego. It's a belief in mechanics.
I'm fully behind the technology structure. I have
bearish people.
big struggles with very bearish people. I am very bearish people. I've always been bearish people, and I've never been more bearish people in my life.
So I'll counter that. I'll be the one on that because Hefe and I talked about this one night, right? Because I love that word trustless, the trustlessness of the decentralized world, right? Everything's trustless over here. You don't need to have any trust. That's the beauty of it. Is you don't have to trust
Such
anybody.
bullshit.
It's total bullshit because you sure as hell need to trust whoever the hell wrote the code. You definitely need to trust your ability
Hey,
to
number
read
one.
the code.
You can audit the code, though.
Exactly.
The idea
And you
is
need to
it's
trust
publicly
either the
available.
auditors. There's always like there is. We would all have to have such expertise and such agency
Right.
to truly only defend
You can
ourselves.
think about this as
We don't
like
have
the
that in
early
society.
church. Like there's only certain priests and disciples that can read it. The rest of us are just believing it.
Well, and there are bad preachers out there. There are
Exactly.
shams, and there are bad sheep that'll lead you astray, and there is a relevance to paying attention to who you're dealing with. And so I still think that we are very much integrated into a very human-centric crypto movement.
Everything
We're
is
not
based on
yet
reputation.
totally there.
Like, I mean, even when it's like, hey, how do you find a good NFT project? The first thing on that list is community.
Are the creators doxed?
Yeah, what does founders look like? Exactly.
Yeah, are the
they
founders
in
doxed?
How many
Is there a
projects have they
community?
already rugged so far?
Right. Like, so it's a
Did
trustless
they come from
space.
Terra?
The exchanges are trustless, but everything about it requires trust. Everything else except the actual exchange, unless you're doing OTCs, and now you've just let go of everything trustless.
Well, and I will say some of the best interactions I've ever had, like Crypto Coliseum, is where I met Rigo J. Mortis way in the early days, and he inspired me. It made a lasting impact. I'm happy to share this story because there was in-game items in Crypto Coliseum, and they had value, and so I had a character, and I wanted to buy, I think, like some boots or something for him. It's a gladiator combat AI game using GPT-3 before anyone had ever heard of Chat GPT. And so, like, I look back to it, I'm like, Makelore, Crypto Coliseum, these guys were exploring AI when no one cared.
Right.
Like, you can be.
Oh, you can. VR has always been too early. VR is still too early.
The Sega Dreamcast is too early. First one you can plug into the internet, and people are like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't have the AOL yet.
I often tell the Sega Saturn story when talking about crypto. I'm not going to get into it, but don't pick Sega Saturn. That's all I can say.
It's the same thing. I kind of feel that way about Arbitrum these days, and Optimism, because like Adamant deployed to Arbitrum back when nobody had heard of Arbitrum. And it's because that dev was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the future. We're freaking cross-chaining and we're going to deploy on Arbitrum. And nobody was there. And there's still nobody there.
It's still pretty empty.
Yep. Exactly. And so
only reason I'm there is because Aave's there. I'm an Aave maxi. I'm like, oh, but I don't use Harmony, so let me not say that. But yeah, I'm like, oh, Aave's on Arbitrum and Optimism. That is literally when they launched Aave v3. I don't think I was on Arbitrum or Optimism before that. Maybe I had bridged some ETH just to like have the the potential airdrop or whatever. But other than that, like I didn't start using those chains until Aave got there, and that's all I've done there so far is use Aave because I trust Aave.
And we have the privilege and the legacy to be able to say that we were on Polygon when Aave showed up. We got to watch.
That's so true.
We got to watch liquidity mining get deployed. We got to watch Polygon incentivize us to utilize.
I bought some of the first Aave tokens when it first stopped being lend. Like I was one of the first because I got Aave. I got into Aave, started using it, and then it was like I saw these things everywhere saying migrate your lend token. I'm like, what is lend? What are you talking about? And I was like, oh shit, I am like early Aave. I am like, okay, this just happened.
One of my absolute favorites. That's my current.
I'm staking on Aave. That's how much I'm in it. Like, I'm staking on layer one.
I'm jealous of you. I want to see Polygon staking happen at some point in time. But
I mean, they have it on layer one, and see, that's one of those things I regret. So Celsius, I had a large pile of Matic in Celsius, and I was like, oh, I should pull this off and be staking it. But gas was so high at the time that I was like, I don't know if it would be worth it. Well, and I should have done it because
well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I could be staking that Matic on layer one right now instead of dealing with chapter 11 bullshit. Yeah. So We got about 5 minutes left. Anybody want to talk about Aavegotchi or what?
Yeah, I know.
How
So,
about that?
so at least for my
Got
take on it, is
Big picture frames now.
yeah, this is good because setting all this groundwork, and I felt this way when I first talked to them. And bless their hearts, I hope they're doing well wherever the heck they are right now. But Master Yin and Master Yang, 8-Bit Gamers Guild, those were my role models to look at and be like, okay, these are true Bitcoin OGs. They had the intelligence, they saw it early, they dove in, and they benefited significantly from it. And they have gone from 13 to now, 2 years ago now, and saw Aavegotchi, and that was their second mark. That was the mark that they saw. That was like, this one, this is it. This is the thing that we want to be involved in. We want to be a part of this. This is important. And I remember hearing that from him and reflecting on their legacy and track record and experience and trying to put stock in that.
Yeah.
And I still feel that way. Like, Aavegotchi is going to outlast the Polygon ecosystem DAO. Aavegotchi has outlasted already a lot of other projects.
That's something that I think people aren't bullish enough on. And maybe it's because a lot of our Gotchi friends and our Gotchi family are only in Aavegotchi, and or they're only into like other small ecosystems, and they actually don't have as big of a broad like crypto knowledge as maybe we do, because we all seem to be like very like all over the place in a lot of pies. We understand a lot of things. We're on many chains. We're not just in Aavegotchi or on Polygon, but I think a lot of people are very focused, and they don't realize that like Aavegotchi is special because nobody else is building with diamonds. Nobody else has this like level of integration with the wearables. Other people are just talking about, oh man, what if you could change the clothes in your NFT? Yeah, what if? We've been doing that for 2 years. I wonder when you're going to figure out that it can be done. It's like, there's a lot of things that are very bullish for Aavegotchi. So, regardless of what we're dealing with here in the bear market, like, I think that if this project, it just needs, I think we just need, things to turn around. We kind of have some bad attitudes going on and a lot of like bearishness. And I think that the tools, the things that can be built on here are amazing. And it just needs to be like unlocked.
Z5, I feel like you're just hanging out, man. So don't let me just keep stepping over you here. But like the thing the thing I keep reflecting on is I got the job at Good Ghosting as a community manager because of my track record in Aavegotchi. That's what I was able to point at and be like, no, look, like we are an interactive community. We engage, we discuss things, we build things, we create things. To hell with the protocol. Like, I'm not talking about the Ghost token, and I'm not talking about Coder Dan and the Solidity code. I'm talking about the success of the community. And it's still something that other projects envy.
I mean, that's another big part of it too. And that's what I mean is we have both sides of a successful NFT project. We have something innovative, like
the product and the people,
memeable. And we've got a community that, I think is mostly tearing itself apart because we're in the throes of the bear market. We're in the fucking...
Well, we're just old and cranky now.
Yeah, we're cranky.
Here.
I mean...
But you guys are seeing these tweets going out. New Future put out a good one today talking about
I didn't see it yet.
It's this arising of the conversation of like, oh, what's the Polygon OG NFT project? There's like this discussion right now. The second
I've said that a number of times that Aavegotchi is the blue chip on Polygon as soon as people see it.
Yep.
We've all known it. We all know it. And that's why we're in it. And we're waiting for like our CryptoKitties discovery era. And
I would argue also, regardless of how bearish people might be on other Aavegotchi assets, I would say Aavegotchis themselves have held value pretty well compared to Haunt 2 portal prices.
Considered. I'd say all things considered, it's not too far off the mark. Yeah, we got other assets that have taken much worse of a hit compared to the core. Yeah, the Gotchis.
So to me, that says, man, these Aavegotchis are holding on, and so that gives you something to like almost spring back from. Like, you know what I mean? It's not everything riding to zero necessarily. It's like, no, some things are riding faster than others, and some might not bounce back. But the core asset here is doing pretty damn good.
I think Fake Gotchis is up to $220,000 USD volume. That's significant.
When you talk about that's another innovative thing.
Project.
Fake Gotchis is the most innovative NFT minting process in blockchain right now. Period.
And
Yeah,
it ain't
regardless
even
of
its own
chain.
thing.
Yep.
It's wrapped inside of us. It's one of
Right.
our babies.
Mhm.
We're gonna have other babies later too. We're gonna have Aavegotchi's gonna have all these kids, and they're all gonna just have their own to contribute. And once again,
I
things
hope
take a
one of
long
them's
time.
gameplay.
Did you guys get in the PvP arena? Did y'all play around in there this last
I
round?
didn't this past
Did you guys
time.
do the first round?
Yeah, I did the
30
first
seconds.
round.
Get wrecked.
Why did you not like it, Z5? Just because you get
I don't like PvP. I'm not a PvP player. I don't
He
play
got
PvP.
into
I
this
never
for the
played PvP
RPG
and
I'm
dungeons,
here.
damn it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm here
No,
for the
I'm right
questing
there
and the
with you.
gameplay. You know, when I
I
played
played
WoW,
Diablo 2
I
That's what
would
brought
not
me
play
in.
PvP servers.
In my
Yeah, I
mind,
agree with
since
that.
day one of Aavegotchi Land, I was like, I can't wait till we get our Legend of Zelda type dungeons. That's what's been in my mind, is like these, you know, Diablo, Legend of Zelda type 8-bit dungeons of
When it creates
exploration,
everything,
Final
because
Fantasy, whatever.
you gate those dungeon entrances based on trait specifications, and so suddenly you unlock the entire.
There's a lot of
value range
possibilities
Gotchi.
for sure.
Or
So
you need a
much
specific
potential.
wearable in order to defeat the
Mhm.
boss
Anything,
kind of thing.
truly
You
anything.
have to be able
you
to
could
rent
do
that.
anything you want, and it could be for a week. It could be in period. It could be temporal or permanent. There's so much flexibility with tethering quest eligibility into assets held, and that's what we're missing right now. I will say I'm usually not a PvP guy, but I did have one of my gotchis that turned out to be a stud. I closed it like 18th on the leaderboard. And that's mostly because I just got tired and quit being in there every freaking hour of the day, which apparently is how you win. But it was really, for me, it was really exciting to recognize, oh shit, I got something here. Like this, because I got 9 right now, and of those 9, 1 is useful in
Right.
the PvP arena. The other 8, I tried them, and I'm like, oh fucking turd, this is not gonna work. But the one that did perform well, it like restored hope in a sense. I was just like, oh my god. So at least there can be good ones. Like there are heroes in the space. It's just not common. They're rare. It's rare to have a really powerful gotchi, and that is indeed the point. It's not supposed to be easy for everybody. There need to be an entire population of gotchis out there that are just average, and there need to be a population of other gotchis that suck, and then there need to be a population of gotchis that are heroes. We cannot all be equals, otherwise it kind of tears down the rarity concept.
The thing
rarity
is,
farming cannot be the only reward for rarity.
Well, that's true too, but you don't. So this is the other part: is how many rarity farming gotchis are actually not playable, and that is their only use. But then the other thing is, if you're low BRS and unplayable, well, you just became a pet.
You are essence.
And
Essence and XP.
You are
and
essence.
as it should be. Like we're gonna start watching. Like it's crazy to me that there are people in a financial position where gotchis are worth the consumption, but there are people out there, and we're gonna start watching gotchis get chewed up.
I think I have only essence gotchis.
That's
That's okay because I've got 35 lands, and that's great.
Oh, good, yeah. Set your essence and essence altar on the land, and then just make it. Now, and I'll close with that too, right? And you know, for anyone who's been following the show for a while, GMI for a while, no, I'm right there with you. Yeah, I'll end on a realistic note because I have only lost money in Aavegotchi. I have not made a dime.
Nope.
On my balance sheet is way off.
Down
scale.
only. Down only.
Down only. And I'm still here. I'm still here. And it's because I was just thinking, like earlier today, I think, I was like, just imagine if you'd have had your CryptoKitty in 2015, 2016, 2017, and to like not care about crypto for a couple of years and come back in 2020 and look at it and go, oh, things have changed.
This is the perspective that everyone needs to remember.
Survive.
Haunt 2 and the Gotchi Land were fucking launched at the tail end of the bull market. We were literally on the slide that people thought was like, oh no, super cycle. This is just a little bump down before super cycle. And it was literally beginning of the descent. So like October, November was the top. And then, you know, so, but even October, I remember, and I was still pretty early to this. I got into crypto February, March of 21. So I remember thinking in June or July, oh shit, this is it. There is no super cycle. This is not going to be great. And then I continued to watch it ride up, and I was like, I don't see, but obviously I saw it. Like, even though I predicted it a little early, it was like, no, there's no way this is like, we're already so high. I came in high. Like, when you zoom out, I was like, well, here's me. No, this can't go up forever. This is definitely, I'm at the one side of the bull market or the other, but I'm definitely in the height of the bull market. So coming at it from that perspective, yes, like Haunt 2, Gotchiverse, everything is riding down because it was launched at the bull. It was the top of the bull. So like, we haven't had time to see these things get their chance to be a phoenix because we're in the fucking doldrums of the bear. Like, we're
in the ashes.
6 months to a year from the next bull. You know what I mean?
Now, Z-Fi, anytime you want to make yourself feel better, just remember that poor soul that paid the 42,000 ghosts for one of them spaces wrapped in kek. That's what I hang on to. That's what I hang on to.
I can't imagine. I would have exited the entire space.
I promise you feel better than that person, okay? Now, I can't tell you if they're still here or if they're alive, but I can tell you that you're still here. So
dark.
With it.
Yeah, yikes.
Hey, remember the terror story too. There were people in Korea jumping off top roofs when that anchor thing unwound, when UST unwound. It was like, it is life ending for some people. If it wasn't career ending for some, it was life ending for others. Right. And so if the worst project if our worst complaint is that we're down like 70, 80%, be thankful.
The other thing I think that we as a community, the other thing we forget as a community is that we actually held on a lot longer. Like, when the bears set in, we were fine for months. We were like still riding up if you count the play drop and a lot of things like that. Like, it took 3, 4, 5, 6 months before the bear actually started to hit Aavegotchi. So we have a delayed effect, clearly, because we were fine through Terra. When Terra blew up, we were still doing fine. Mm-hmm. Like, when Celsius and Voyager went down, we were still doing fine. Like, it wasn't until after, I would say, sentiment and things got really like lowest, probably when FTX happened. And like, that was when I would really say that we started to feel the bear inside of Aavegotchi. We all knew the bear was outside of us, but it wasn't that bad for us. Like,
well,
the price of Ghost held on for a long time.
We had like a weird social failure for a while there, like mid-year last year. It got real ugly amongst the community. It just got dark times. It just, a lot of attitudes got real shitty, and it just got really bad there for a little while. That was the first time that I was ever concerned about the Aavegotchi project longevity, because it's the user base. Like, I actually do like the code. I like Coder Dan. I believe that tech team is on it. I like their solidity. I like what they produce. I'm not worried about Aavegotchi because of the product quality. It's not often that I've looked at it and been like, this shit sucks. It's not useful. It doesn't work. Right. You can't connect the wallet. Nothing loads. It's slow. It's never been a total tech failure. It's a concern whether or not people are going to like tear the castle down before we're there.
And that's where what you just said gave me...
We're vulnerable to a DAO.
The Sega Saturn vibes. Sega didn't fail because of a tech failure. Sega made awesome products. It was something else that, like, why they lost out to PlayStation and Nintendo 64. Like, it wasn't Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was ahead of its time. Same with Dreamcast.
EV1 was a very impressive car. Also, another Saturn. All these poor Saturns are just too early for their own good, right? They can't handle it. I think Tom Hanks still has his version, but Saturn themselves bought back as many of them as they could possibly buy and crushed them. They ended that story. And so it was just a situation, like, you gotta resilient. It's my favorite phrase in the space, right? Resilience is rewarded. I've seen what happens when you dip out for a winter and don't pay attention, and then you look back at that and go, son of a gun. And so that's been the only lesson I've had this year. Is I didn't care how long the winter lasted. I didn't care how bad it got. I just wasn't gonna give up. I wasn't gonna look away. You talk about cycle C-Fi, and this is like my big shot at a cycle.
Like you said at the optimistic part, I'm going to say something, even though I keep dogging on the Saturn. I still own that Sega Saturn. I didn't paper hand my Sega Saturns.
And I expect to have my Gotchis for a long time. That's my sentence on that regard. They're my Saturns.
My
And
Sega
so,
Saturn is literally right there on the desk that I stream from. Like,
are you brave enough? Are you brave enough to try to transport that with you to East Denver and play it there in the lodge?
I could do that. I could probably do that.
Give it a shot. You can put it in a Pelican case or something.
I don't know if I have any multiplayer games, but I can see what I got. We'll look around.
I just want the opportunity to see one working in front of me. It's nice to remember old machines.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna shut up and I'm done. Y'all show, y'all do what you need to. Are we over? Are we ruining schedule?
We're
Oh, I think
about
we're
10
good.
minutes over. I think
Yeah.
it was a great conversation. I mean, yeah, like
I've missed y'all. I like I said, I've been out of touch for a little bit. I've been kind of in the gap.
Me too.
It's my pleasure. I love the fact that you guys keep doing this program. It's one of my proudest spinoffs from what has happened within the GMI shell. I love watching the two of you guys continue to mature, and you can tell that I'm having such a fun time amplifying yourself, Zombie, on Lens, eating people's faces.
Appreciate you, bro.
The fact that they don't recognize legacy when it's standing right in front of them, it's tricky. So we just have to educate the masses.
Right.
So just keep doing what y'all doing, man. It's still very important. And like, I haven't even gotten Gotchiverse back off the ground yet. So I'm just very encouraged by y'all's consistency and commitment to sticking it out. I know
that's
DeFi,
the main thing in the bear. That's the main thing in the bear. Don't lose sight of why you're here. If anything, double down on why you're here.
Yeah, exactly. And so, taking this back to the beginning of the conversation, and Aavegotchi is going to benefit from this, Bankless DAO benefits from this, Polygon benefits from this, is the amalgamation of small teams that actually enjoy working with one another. That's how all of this is going to work. This isn't going to be some utopia civilization where all million of us got our arms around each other and we all get along. It's not going to work like that. It's going to be pockets of actual progressive individuals that move the mission forward. And I feel very confident amongst the three of you guys, yourself, you two, and Hefe. I love the enthusiasm that's still happening inside of GMI's ranks. I like the chats that are happening on the back end. I like the realistic discussions that are happening in terms of our greater presence in the projects that we're currently in, and what happens if those don't work. What does that mean for us? And the fact that we're still interested.
These are our reputations,
Exactly. And if Aavegotchi is gone tomorrow, if Nori's gone tomorrow, I'm not out of Web3. I'll just start the next phase.
Yep.
And so we're here for the long haul, and I recognize that and salute you too.
Hell yeah, bro. Much appreciated. And of course, I mean, that's why I like doing the podcast and stuff like that, because I think that there's not enough people out there, or I mean, maybe there are, but it seems like, I don't know, maybe everybody's got their little pockets, like you said. But I think, it's important to like stand up and be around for your friends and be, also like making sure that the things that you believe in are getting talked about, not just by, Punk 6529 or the Bankless podcast or whatever. Like, we need decentralization means decentralization of lots of things, and media being one of them. And Bankless HQ is arguably the best crypto podcast out there. And we need other stuff that's that good, that's that, not just shilling and not just like, harping on token price or, buy my NFT or whatever else. Like, you need value.
You're referring to a free decentralized press.
Exactly. Right. So
dig it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're here to do.
I'm gonna go refill this vodka, boys. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of why I'm here, man. Yeah. Appreciate you, bro.
I love it. Absolutely. Like I say, I we go through our moments and cycles, but I'm back in my optimistic idealist phase, and so get ready to get tired of me, Z. I know. I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm ready, man.
Really bad.
You need that digital
LFG.
Hug, I know. Let's do this together.
Let the fucking Gotchis.
Very good.
All right, man. So, anything we got to talk about before we head out of here? Like, what do we got?
Just, I guess we'll spin through the closing points. We've got our usual, I guess it's not totally usual. We have changed our Tuesday lineup a little bit. So Touch Grass is now Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And Tuesday we're doing From A to Z and then rolling into Zombie Time for a little bit of a lounge session. We'll hang out in Discord. We'll stream the music. We won't stream the discussion. Just kind of a casual hangout session. So we've got that coming up for the rest of the tonight. And then obviously Friday programming, same block as usual. GMI Block Party 7 p.m., Zombie Time at 9, and then the Syncopator at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yeah. So I guess right now we are going to move over to Sound of the Ghost. And like Z5 said, I'll be streaming. I got an Ooh La La playlist set up of some brand new 2023 music. Nice. And then, I'll be streaming music and we'll hang out in Sound of the Ghost. So if you want to continue this conversation on a more personal note, join us in Sound of the Ghost on the GMI channel, GMI Discord. Other than that, I don't think any big announcements. That was a great conversation. I had fun. I love getting on these tangents. You know how I am. I
needed something different. I was really glad Mike Kelly showed up. I had show notes, but they weren't terribly exciting, and I'm not terribly excited at the moment. So it was really good to have a little bit of a derailment. I'm totally good with it.
Sometimes no news is good news, right?
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody who was streaming with us. We had 4 to 6 people pretty consistently hanging out. And obviously I love Mycalium and Foreign for jumping into the chat with us. And meet us in Sound of the Ghost. Hang out for Zombie Time. And see you. Oh, yeah. I guess also we should mention our Touch Grass Twitter Spaces because we do it on Monday now. It was pretty empty last night. But just to... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. But yeah, Touch Grass, Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see you soon, friends.